described how to create the golem, referred to as the homunculus in alchemical terms. In the Hermetic and Alchemical writings of Paracelsus, he said, quote, "But neither must we by any means forget the generation of homunculi, for there is some truth in this thing, although for a long time it was held in a most occult manner and with secrecy, while there was no little doubt and question among some of the old philosophers whether it was possible to nature and art that a man should be begotten without the female body and the natural womb. In order to accomplish it, you must proceed thus. Let the semen of a man putrefy by itself in a sealed cucurbite with the highest putrefaction, until it begins to live, move, and be agitated, which can easily be seen. If now, after this, it be every day nourished and fed cautiously and prudently with the arcanum of human blood, and kept for 40 weeks in the perpetual and equal heat, it becomes, thenceforth, a true and living infant, having all the members of a child that is born from a woman, but much smaller. This we call a homunculus, and it should be afterwards educated with the greatest care and zeal until it grows up and begins to display intelligence. Now this is one of the greatest secrets which God has revealed to mortal and fallible man. It is a miracle and marvel of God, an arcanum above arcana, and deserves to be kept secret until the last times, when there shall be nothing hidden, but all things shall be made manifest." Of Jumbo in February of 2013, which stated, quote, "As preparations for the first nuclear weapons test, General Leslie Groves, the head of the Manhattan Project, began to worry about what would happen if the test was a failure. With a very limited supply of plutonium then available, a failure could scatter tens of millions of dollars of the precious element across the New Mexico desert. To avoid this problem, a massive steel vessel to contain the explosion was built at a cost of $142 million. Nicknamed Jumbo, the container weighed 214 tons, was 25 feet long, 12 feet wide, and had walls 14 inches thick. According to occult investigation, the image of God in exchange for the image of the beast."
You know, the image of the beast, I believe, is going to be a copy of the image that God made back in the beginning. Now, the image that God made in the very beginning was, of course, Adam. So God took the dirt, he formed Adam to both look like himself and to act like himself. Now, the idea that Adam actually looked like God is somewhat contested among theologians. But if we go back and we just look at what the word image means, we see that Adam had a son in his image and in his likeness. We go to, for example, Ezekiel chapter 1, where Ezekiel sees the image of God above this throne, and it says that he looked like Adam. If we go to Daniel chapter 7, we see that the Ancient of Days was seated, and he had his hair, and he's got a form. Moses, Aaron, Nadav, Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel. So many places where it tells us what God looks like. Even Jesus said, "If you've seen me, you've seen the Father." So God does have a form. We are created to look accordingly to that form. We're not obviously the same as God, but we look like God to a lesser extent. And therefore, I think the motto is, anything you can do, I can do better. I think that's Satan's basic idea here, that, you know, he can also create someone in his image and in his likeness. And I think, you know, if we look at it, you have Satan is equivalent to the Father, the Antichrist would be equivalent to Jesus the Son, and then the false prophet would be analogous to the Holy Spirit. So these three in one, as it were, now are going to create someone who is in their image. And I believe that is what the image of the beast is all about. It's now acting as God acted in the beginning to now create a counterfeit, but still someone who is in their own image. And I don't believe that the image of the beast is going to be a real, live person. He may look completely real. He may act like a human, but he does not have a soul. And we know that because at the end of all things, when the Antichrist and the false prophet are thrown into the lake of fire, there's no mention of the image of the beast. He's not judged. He just simply appears to just go away. Because
in an article published by The Telegraph entitled "The Rabbi, the Lost Ark, and the Future of the Temple Mount," quotes Rabbi Chaim Richman, International Director for the Temple Institute in Jerusalem. After claiming that Jews have known the location of the Ark of the Covenant for centuries, he goes on to describe his aspirations for the Third Temple. Quote, "There's no reason why we shouldn't use technology, which is the modern miracle, alongside the heavenly miracles. It's part of our vision of the temple as a realistic potential in our times." Fulfillment of technological singularity. It seems the final piece of the puzzle of creating machine sentience will come from the false prophet giving breath to the image so that it may speak. However, dictatorship. While individual doctors, nurses, and the many good folks in the healthcare industry are in it with the sincere desire to help people, the reality is that the system itself is rooted in the mystery religions. Perhaps this is why the symbol for modern medicine has been, purposely or not, changed from the rod of Asclepius, which represented the medical arts in Greek mythology, to the caduceus, or the staff of Hermes, which represents commerce, theft, deception, and in astrology, nearly 70% 80% of Americans are on at least one prescription drug, and more than half receive at least 2 prescription drugs. America has become a pill-popping culture, much like the Soma in Brave New World. This is the touchy issue